Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Today is our second to last Friday feeling, believe it or not. Today, we have a theme that we're kind of sticking with today, and that theme is the end. It's talking about the end of things, the end of our school year, the end of whatever grade level you're in right now, and new beginnings, talking about coming back in September, starting fresh, starting new. And so thinking about this, I thought, oh my goodness, it would be perfect if I could get some of our fourth grade teachers to maybe pull one of our mindful morning cards today, because this time of year is a big transition time for all of us, but it's really big for our fourth graders who are getting ready to move on up to the middle school. So we're going to really be talking a lot about those transitions, those endings today. And so why don't we pop into a fourth grade classroom? Let's see. Oh, perfect. I have here not one, but two fourth grade teachers. So, Mrs. Epitelli, Miss Manton, what we're talking about today on Friday Feeling is we're talking a lot about transitions and the end of the school year and what that's like, how it can be a big time of change. And so I thought it would be perfect to get a fourth grade teacher to pull one of our mindful morning cards today.
You're up.
Now, Miss Manton, you've already done this one, so Mrs. Epitelli, it is on you. So I'm gonna empty them out right here. Let's see. Let's just make sure I get the one that we last pulled. I think I forgot to do this last week, so we didn't. Oh yeah, like 2 weeks ago, it was appreciate the taste and texture and smell of your breakfast. Nice idea. All right, so Mrs. Epitelli, pick a good one. If you don't, we'll pick another one.
I always wanted to do this.
Awesome.
All right, here I go. Okay. I love this one.
Oh, what is it?
Smile at yourself in the mirror.
Oh,
be nice to yourself.
That is so nice. In fact, can I show them your
Yeah.
affirmation station over here?
Of course.
So Mrs. Epitelli has this really cool thing. She actually has a mirror in her class that has all of these positive affirmations all over. Oh, you can kind of see my reflection in there. Hello. And so all of her students can look at these things that say, like, I am not alone, I am fierce, I am unique, I am enough. So what a great mirror to look into and smile at yourself. So thank you, Mrs. Epitelli and Miss Manton. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, my friends. So I am here outside of our school. You might be able to tell I'm walking out of the cafeteria door. And today's Friday Feeling, we are going to really focus on what it means for something to end. You know, this is our second to last Friday Feeling of the school year. So we have one more after this. Next week's, I have a special idea for next week's. We'll see if it happens. I'm hoping to involve some of our teachers, kind of like we did in December when we got to interview all of our different staff members and get some ideas from them. But before we get to our very last Friday Feeling, I thought we could talk a little bit more about what it means when things come to an end. And I thought it would be especially appropriate to be right here, to be outside of our school with our playground in the background, because whether you are in kindergarten or you are in fourth grade, this is a really familiar view, right? We spend a lot of time out here throughout all of our grade levels. We spend a lot of time playing with our friends. Some of you might be coming out here after school sometimes to hang out with your friends and your family members and things like that. And so I wanted to be out here because it's this familiar view. And for some of you, especially my fourth graders, this view might change. You might be going up to the middle school next year. For others, you're still going to be here next year, and so you're still going to be playing on our same playground. But when we think of things coming to an end, sometimes we think of our space around us changing, of our landscape changing, of the things that we're used to changing. And all of us here at LPES, whatever grade you're in, however old you are, whether you're a student or a teacher, all of us at this time of year have a really big ending. We have the end of another school year. And then in September, we get to have the start of another year together. But endings and beginnings can be tricky. They're not always easy. And they can bring up a lot of different emotions and feelings. And so even though next week will be our last Friday feeling, I thought that today would be a nice day for us to kind of reflect back on the year that we've had together and to begin thinking about what we want next year to hold. And that's going to be different for each of you. If you're going up to middle school, maybe your goal next year is to transition into that new grade, into that new school, get used to things, learn where things are, familiarize yourself with outside of school. Like we have the playground out here and the middle school has some different things up there. If you are going from kindergarten to first grade or first to second or second to third or third to fourth, maybe it's just going to be your goal for next year is getting used to a new teacher and a new classroom and new friends that you might have. Maybe your goal is something big academically, like if you're going from kindergarten into first grade, maybe your goal is learning how to read a book by yourself if you can't already. Maybe if it's going into third grade, it's learning your multiplication tables, which you probably haven't done yet in second grade for the most part. We can set these goals for ourselves and we can look at next year as an exciting new beginning. A new time to make new friends, to have new experiences, to try new things. But with new things beginning, that means that there also has to be an ending. And so another goal that I had for you today is I wanted you to think back on the past year, these past, let's say 10 months of the school year, and to think about things that you are proud of. What is one thing that when you think back to September, you couldn't do that now you can? Or what is one thing that from this school year you originally couldn't do and you thought, I'm never going to be able to do this, and now you can? Maybe it's a skill you learned in school. Maybe it's something outside of school, like you didn't think you'd be able to do a round off back handspring. I can't do that, but if you can, great. Maybe it is some other skill that you've mastered, or maybe it's a friendship that in the past has given you problems and this year you're really able to work together to try and find solutions. Whatever it might be, I want you to think of that time and to be proud of the year that you've had, to put your mark on it, to keep it in your mind of being able to get through that time, that challenge that in the beginning seemed so impossible. So as we kind of wrap things up, I found a book that I really like. It's called The End. I'm going to read it to you now because it talks a little bit more about what it means for things to end and what it means for things to begin. And it's just a nice little way for us to head into the last full week of school. Before I get to the book, a reminder on the last full week of school, just because we have 7 full school days left, not even full because you have 2 half days in there. When we have these last few days of school, I always like to think of it as an opportunity for us to really leave our legacy, leave our mark here, especially my 4th graders. So these are the last few days you'll be in this class. These are the last few days you'll be with this teacher. For 4th grade, these are the last few days you'll be in our building. So instead of letting it be a free-for-all, chaotic, loud, exciting, not following the rules, let's try to stay on our focus, stay focused with our goals, and keep up that good behavior that we've been trying to have and work on this year. Just because it's getting warmer, just because we're getting closer to that summertime, doesn't mean that all those rules go out the window. We want to end on a really positive note. We want to end with our teachers being sad that it's summertime and that we're going to be going to another class. So let's all keep that in mind and continue to work together these next few days to make it the best that we possibly can. All right, so we're going to read the book, The End, together. I hope you enjoy it. It is, I think, pretty perfect for this time of year. Here we go. The End by John Bray, illustrated by Josh Cleland. The End. The End. What? It is? Oh, you're probably confused because this book is just beginning, but it's still the end. Maybe you were getting dressed and decided to read instead because reading is more fun than finding matching socks. That's the end of searching for socks. Maybe you just finished eating lunch. That's the end of lunch. But don't worry, there's still dinner and sometimes dessert. If you were outside adventuring and it started raining, that's the end of adventuring. Or you might not be at the end of anything, but you're definitely not at the beginning either. Maybe you're building a fort. That means you're in the middle, the place where beginnings and endings meet. If you run out of blankets, the middle could feel short. If you keep building and building, it might feel long. But you can't be in the middle forever. That gets boring. Boredom is the end of fun, which means that it's time to begin something new. When you do something like read this book, something else like finding socks, or go on an adventure, or eating lunch, is the ending. That something could be better than what you are doing, or it could be worse. The end might be a big deal, or you might not even notice it. But the end of one thing is the beginning of something else. And the beginning of one thing is the end of another. And that's okay. The beginning of what? Well, that is up to you. The end. And then, my friends, on the back, if we were reading this book together like an actual physical book, you would see that this is the back cover of the book. And it says, yes, this is the end. But if you read the book, you'll know there's more to the story. So before I close this book, I want to go back a few pages, because one of the things that I like most about this story that really relates to us as we go through different grades, as we start new school years and end other school years, the part that really sticks out to me is this page right here. It says, but you can't be in the middle forever. That gets boring. Boredom is the end of fun, which means that it's time to begin something new. And I love that idea for us, because sometimes, especially if we've had a really great year, if we've had a wonderful class, if we've had a really fun teacher, sometimes we just want to stay in that moment forever. We just want to stay in first grade or second grade or third or kindergarten or fourth, whatever grade you might be in, pre-K. But if we stayed there forever, eventually, even if it was wonderful, it would get boring. And so when we think of the end of our school year, sometimes it can bring sadness. For some of us, others might feel excited about what lays ahead. But it could bring about sadness. But this is a nice reminder that if we stayed in the middle forever, if we never ended anything and started something new, life would be pretty simple and pretty boring too. So I thought that this page especially was a nice way for us to kind of think about this school year together and to think about the exciting things that lay ahead. All right, it's our last thing of the day, or rather our last thing of Friday Feels, not our last thing of the entire day. So let's spin that wheel. It's a long one. Let's see. Okay, it says, give someone a compliment. So a nice, easy one for today, especially with it being field day. Lots of opportunities for complimenting your classmates and peers. Hope you're able to do that. Boys and girls, we have 2 more Friday Feelings before the end of the school year, so I can't wait. We'll try and make those some special ones. And until next week when I see you again, remember, stay kind, LPES.